What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rant to no hate. So look, I just recently dropped a video about Lomachenko, and now with the excuses of why he lost, instead of just taking the loss and just moving forward. I want to elaborate a little bit more on that, okay? And the fact that we want to see boxing improve and we want to see the best fights, and not only do we want to see the best fights, but we don't want to see people trying to taint, fights and victories because they can't just accept the fact that they lost, or the fans can't accept that the guy that they wanted to win lost. These excuses, okay, it basically it doesn't change and take away the outcome, but at the same time, when something becomes a thing to do, okay, and when falsehood and false narratives just become a thing of let's find a crutch to lean on and say this is why we lost, because we can't just say, you know what, the better man won. Okay, now before I say that, let me say this: injuries, they happen, and they happen often, and I'm pretty sure there's many times a fighter goes in the ring and he's not 100%. The difference is when he wins, we don't hear about the injury, okay? But when he loses, it was because of this, you know. Oh, I heard this happened a couple of weeks ago. Look, if you fight and it's visible, for some reason this guy's throwing only his jab, he's not, using his right hand, or he's not moving the way he used, the way he's supposed to move. When we can see something's wrong, okay. For example, you know, Gamboa fighting against Tank Davis, we saw something was wrong with his leg. David Hay, when he fought Tony Bellew, we could see something was wrong. He's stumbling all over the place. He couldn't put weight on his leg. Now, against Klitschko, maybe he really did break his toe, but we didn't know that was the case, or I mean, it didn't appear that something was wrong with his foot. It looked like he just couldn't win. Okay, like nothing he was doing was working. We know if you do have a broken toe, to try to put the weight on your foot like you need to, you can't. It's not there. So maybe that was the case. Okay, but after he pretty much hound Klitschko down, every time you saw Klitschko on video, somehow David Hay just popped up like he knew where Klitschko was going to be. Okay, um, the excuses didn't change anything. Okay, David Hay went on and did some, did some more big things after that fight, and that was the end of that. But it's like, who else? I remember Deontay. I forgot who he fought, and Deontay hurt his arm in the ring. Something happened, and he was only using one hand, but you could see that he was only using the one hand. But when you have situations where you clearly don't see any injury, the last thing on your mind is injury, and then all of a sudden that's the first thing that starts coming out of people's mouths at some point is, oh well, we were hurt. Um, Look, I watched a documentary on Manny Pacquiao, and give Manny Pacquiao his props. He had an amazing career, and he did some great things. But even in that documentary, I noticed when they got to the Floyd Mayweather fight. Now the funny thing is, they show a lot of clips of Floyd hitting Manny Pacquiao and rocking him and getting the best of him, but then they show a clip in that video where there was some guys from another country. I don't know what language they were speaking, but they were saying, "Oh, the wrong man won. Oh, they robbed Manny Pacquiao." So this is to add the narrative to the video package that, oh, Manny Pacquiao, you're giving him his props, but now you're saying that he really want to fight. That even let's not forget, okay, even Freddie Roach at the end of that fight, and or even on other interviews, he was asked, so do you think that who do you think won? And he said, oh no, Floyd won the fight. Floyd won. There's no question about who won. Okay, even his own trainer said that. Okay, now my thing is when you try to push a narrative to say, well, they raised Floyd's hand, but truthfully, Pacquiao won. Well, you want to know the weird thing about it is they didn't make a big deal out of Timothy Bradley getting his hand raised when I didn't see him win one round, and I felt like all three fights Pacquiao won. How they gave Timothy Bradley the fight, I mean, it's like, and I'm one of the first to say that. And pretty much, the funny thing that is that in that video package, they didn't mention anything about what Pacquiao said after the fight, and the fact that he came out with a sling on his arm, the fact that he said that his shoulder was hurt, and not that they should try to say anything to taint his performances or what he's done. The point, what I'm saying though, is that certain people and the same people that put that video package together, when you are trying to make a fighter look good, like I look at Floyd videos on video package. What can you say? Floyd didn't say he was hurt. Floyd didn't have an excuse. Floyd has had fights where he may not been able to get the guy there, hurt the guy the way he could, or and he had to use his superior boxing skills simply because your body's breaking down. Those are things that we deal with. What I'm talking about is in a situation where a guy says, "I have a torn rotator cuff," and after the fight, he's all fight long, he's right? He's doing all that shit, but he can't hit anything. It's one thing when you can see it, the guy can't throw punches with that. He's not throwing that, using that hand. You could see the way he's holding his shoulder, like something's wrong. In the corner, not one mention of my shoulder being hurt. Not one. So it doesn't matter who you wanted to win. I don't care how much you can't stand Floyd or you don't like this fighter. I don't care about that. That's not what we're talking about. If you're in a fight, you tell me that at some point in your corner's not going to notice something. The fans, nobody, not one person said something was wrong with Pacquiao. You could tell the way, no, Pacquiao was throwing hard, fast punches all night long. The problem was he couldn't find a target. So let's say if he hurt his arm in the fight, well, hey, it is what it is. Let's say if it is. We never followed up on that to find out facts or proof or whatever. Next thing we know, he went swimming in some sea salt water and his shoulder was healed. Okay. All right. At the end of the day, one of the things about Pacquiao is he's a fighter that most people like. So he's one of those fighters that can do no wrong. Because they try to, even the fact that he got knocked out by Marquez, they showed that in the video package, right? It had nothing to do with his injury. But you understand what I'm saying? None of that was mentioned in the video package. None of it. So when you put a video package together about a fighter and you want to say, well, this guy, I mean, like with Mayweather, I've seen them put video packages together with him. And when they narrate something, have it being narrated, they always mention how, like with Castillo, they'll always find a way to say, it was a controversial decision. Now, we know Floyd said he hurt his hand in that fight. And then the rematch is funny. They don't talk about the rematch. Now, the rematch don't erase the first fight. No. And when you look at a guy saying, hey, man, look, I hurt myself, yada, 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 and you only hear about it because the fighter lost. This is where it gets to the point where I'm saying, well, now, if you would have won the fight, okay, would you have said anything? This is the point what I'm saying about how injuries versus fighting with pain, injuries that just linger, that just never really go away. And when I say, you heard Floyd many times say, my body is breaking down, my hands are hurting real bad and swelling up after fights. This guy is clearly saying this. And he said it several times. If you are a fighter that's having an injury that's keeping you from fighting, you understand the point what I'm saying? Even with the brittle hands. Sugar Ray Leonard went through the same thing, but he fought with the brittle hands. If you are having injuries like, oh man, I blew my shoulder out 2 weeks ago. You know what you do? You cancel the fight. You pull out. Because pretty much if you're going to go into the fight wounded, nobody wants to hear that at the end of the decision. Oh, well, it was because of my shoulder. Look, like I said, when you have an injury that's visible, we can see, okay, he's limping or he's not throwing that right hand at all. He's using one hand all night long. You know, I'm not talking about you getting hurt in the fight. If you get hurt in the fight, well, that comes with the territory. But what I'm saying is when you come to a fight injured, because now they're claiming that Lomachenko had an injury before training. I mean, before the fight in training, and then now he basically aggravated that same injury in the second round. At the end of the fight, listen, see, what does Manny Pacquiao and Lomachenko have in common? I think I win the fight. I throw more punches. I push the action. I come forward. I make the fight. I win the fight. You didn't hear anything about his shoulder. You didn't hear anything about his shoulder. All you heard was he felt like he was robbed. Same with Lomachenko. You didn't hear him say anything about his shoulder. You heard him say how he in the middle of the fight, he started to come on and take over the fight. He pressed the action. He did this. He did that. That's all you heard. Now all of a sudden you see a picture. He laying up in the hospital with ice on his shoulder and all. Same thing with Pacquiao coming out with a sling on his shoulder, and it was like, see, come on, stop with the theatrics, man. You lost the fight. You lost the fight. Berman Stavern claimed he was badly dehydrated against Deontay Wilder. And he had, things was wrong with him coming into the fight. He overtrained and all that. Well, you finally got your rematch, and look what happened. So what was the excuse the second time? It's always, yo, I hurt this, I hurt that. I came into the fight with a torn this. Oh, I can pull out and fight on another day, because that is what's going to happen. Is excuses are going to pop up, and you know what's going to happen if you don't win and avenge that loss. Then you pretty much make a lie out of yourself. Back in the day, Buddy McGirt fought Pernell Whitaker, and Buddy McGirt claimed that he had an injury, and pretty much, he know in the rematch he'll beat Pernell. In the rematch, it was like the same thing. Only Pernell even beat him worse in the rematch. What's your excuse now? We gotta stop with this. My head is up when I'm talking trash before the fight, but then when I lose, it was because of this, that, and the third. And it doesn't change anything. It helps nothing. Lomachenko has done some big things already. People are going, like I said in the last video, people are going to hate him because of the way people speak about him. I do feel like they hype Lomachenko up to try to make him, they do that with several fighters. They want to tell you this person is better than what your two eyes see. This person is greater than what we actually know. This person has ability that's out of this world. Like as if we looking at two different fighters. Lomachenko, I always thought he was a solid fighter, but let's be real, okay? The same way people were saying, oh, Tank Davis is ducking him, or the Haney's is dunking him, or anybody. Teofimo Lopez is not good enough to fight him. Well, until they fight, we don't know that, do we? We don't know who the better fight. We can have an idea in our heads of who we feel like we think is better, but you understand the same way. Until he fight those guys and beat them, the narrative has always been, oh, they're ducking him. Lopez did something that very few people thought he could do. And I was one that said he can beat Lomachenko. He's good enough. I think he's better. I think he's better than Lomachenko. And people, I don't know about all of that. I don't care what you know. I'm telling you what I think, not what I know. I'm telling you what I think, what I feel, what I believe. And when it came, to fruition that, hey, damn, he really did beat him. If you look at the scorecards, they made the fight. I mean, the crazy thing about it is this. For people that says, oh, Lomachenko got robbed, that's no different from Adrian Broner saying he got robbed against Pacquiao and Mikey Garcia. It's no different. We've seen many people fight, get beat, and then say that they won the fight, and you're sitting there like, all right, I don't even want to hear any more of this interview. Let's just turn the channel. Let's watch something else now, because that delusional nonsense. We got to stop with all of these excuses. We want the fights to happen, then we get the fights, and in this case, it's the fighter. And of course, fanboys want to jump on the bandwagon and try to support their fighter. So we want the fights to happen, but we can't just man. Look, you gave it all you had that night, fell short. Come back and get him next time. And again, like I said, they didn't put a rematch clause in the contract because they were so sure Lopez would be just another, he just be another leaf falling from the tree. Nobody would hey, it is what it is. Look at that leaf. It stands out. Nice looking leaf, right? Yeah. Leaf falls, boom. Fall with the rest of the pile. It's hard to pick it out after that, right? Okay. That's how sure they was. And like I said, well, hey, Gary Russell has been pretty much calling out people that's not everybody he's called out, none of them are in his weight class. He's in a position right now where he has some good fighters in that weight class, but he doesn't have any names. Nobody that, if he beats this guy, this puts Gary Russell amongst the elite, and he doesn't have that. Well, you have unfinished business, right? You called out Terrence Crawford, you called out all these other guys that's not in your weight class. Well, hell, him and Lomachenko never had a rematch. Gary Russell said he has no problem going up. Work that out. This is not a crossroads fight for Lomachenko. It's only his second loss. And the crazy thing about it is they took a loss off his record. See, Lomachenko, people don't understand. Certain things that you don't talk about, when you start doing certain things, certain actions happen, they start talking about it. And him being made franchise champion, and they took a loss off of his record. Now, my thing is, I don't try to tear into a fighter on some, let me just hate and find. No. Let's be realistic. There's no way, shape, or form you can tell me a guy has a loss taken off his record and he's even okay with that. Not even to say, hey, no, what happened, leave it there. And you tell me that this WBC franchise nonsense is not favoritism? Do y'all realize he has a loss taken off of his record? And now you lose. You already got the loss taken off. Now you lose again. And it's, my shoulder was bad. Look, you let your cornermen know, you let your trainers, your management team, whoever, listen, we will not talk about any shoulder. We will not talk about anything. What happened is over. We'll move on to the next fight. Simple. And like I said, injuries do happen, and they happen often. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that fighters haven't lost because of injuries. But I can tell you that, what I will tell you is fighters have also won with injuries. And like I said, when they only come out when you lose, come on, what does it sound like? What does it sound like? And now the fact that he has one loss, which he should really have two. So what are they going to do? I'll wait a year or two and then take this loss off his record too. And again, this is not about bashing Lomachenko. This is just about the reality. This is about the truth. Nothing I said is lies. They took the loss off the man's record. And the fact that you would allow that, now people get spoiled and get accustomed to getting their way. Well, you don't lose your franchise status, right? You don't lose that. He keeps that. But what does he do from here? Do you go to another fight, have another fight with someone else and start calling out Lopez? Do you start to say, I really won the fight? Do you start making excuses and then put a big bullseye on your back because you can't just say, look, man, he won the fight. I want to do it again. But at the same time, there was no rematch clause. So I don't feel like he owe you anything. If he's, like I said before, if he's gracious enough to give you the rematch, then so be it. But at the same time, as far as him owing you, well, no. The champion has the ball in his court, right? Well, there will be or there will not be a rematch clause. But now, all of a sudden, when you lose, I think that he owes Lomachenko a rematch. So let's not make a big stink out of this thing, man. You can't taint the man's victory. What Lopez did, he did. And nobody can take that away from him. But now when you start to make these excuses, see, this is don't make this become a glove gate, poison water. Don't let's not go through this nonsense. Let's not start with the excuses, and they already started making excuses. Let's let this thing die down. And look, you know what? Lopez won. It's over. We'll do it again, hopefully, or you rebuild and you go to the next fight. No fighter is above having to start over again. Lomachenko still has a name. Lomachenko, you know what he's accomplished is there, right? Okay, but the fact that now he has a loss on his record, which they took one off, and I really believe I really believe strongly that people felt like Lomachenko, whether or not they felt like he can become 50-0, 51-0, whatever that is. But the fact to just keep building, keep building, keep building, and retire undefeated, I strongly believe they felt like let's look at that loss like a fluke. Let's take that away, and guess what? You know what? This guy will retire undefeated. And the fact that to show you what I'm saying, let's just be real. People bash Floyd Mayweather because he's 50-0. They hate it. But these same people are not okay. They're okay with the fact that Lomachenko has a loss taken off his record. You don't even hear much talk about that. You don't hear people complaining about that. The people that complain about it is people that says that's not right. That's how do you just take a loss off somebody's record? But I mean, as far as his fan base, they're okay with it. They're okay with it. You don't hear they just okay. Let's act like this never happened. Okay, he don't need those excuses. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to change anything. Just take your punch on the chin like a man. Boom. You know what? You got me. I'll be back. Simple. Now, another thing I want to talk about. I didn't want to make a video about this because I don't know if it's actually true. You know, I did a quick video post about it. Just the fact that it's possible that um, Pulev is out and Charles Martin's in because of an injury sustained to Pulev. I don't know if this is actually true or not, but if it is true, well, now AJ's in a situation now like he was with Ruiz with the Jarrell Miller situation because now he's been training all this time for Pulev. Now all of a sudden, if Pulev is out, if this is true, he has Charles Martin. Now the one thing that's good for AJ if that is the case is he's fought Charles Martin before. He understands how Charles Martin fights, and he has to make a readjustment. And don't get me wrong, this is a different fight. So let's not assume that this Charles Martin is going to be the same exact Charles Martin that came in the first time. Maybe, maybe not. But he can't go in there and take him light just because he beat him. And I believe AJ should beat him. I believe AJ would beat Pulev as well. Pulev is not a pushover, okay, but AJ he's on a mission right now. And AJ, we listen, you don't know what's going to happen until the fight happens, okay? But I feel like looking at what AJ has dealt with already, AJ should be focused and understand what he has to do and what he's trying to continue doing, and that's unify the division. And nothing is easy. It's always an uphill battle. Once you accomplish what you wanted to, it doesn't get any easier because now you have to maintain. Now, does he get to a point one day? Let's say he unifies the division and then decides, you know what? I'm constantly mandatory. And who knows? Maybe does he let some of the belts go, or who knows? I hope he gets to fulfill what he's trying to do. We'll see. But he's in that same situation again. Because, like I said, if Pulev is out, Martin is in. But like I said, he has fought Martin before. He's familiar with him. So, that can really, really harm a person when you train for one guy and then all of a sudden that guy's out. The good thing is, with the amount of time right now that they have left before his fight, he'll have time to make those adjustments. Physically being in shape already and can go get in the ring right now and go, all right, I'm physically there. That is a plus because he's already there. But the adjustment in terms of styles, he has enough time to do that. So that's a plus in that situation. Okay, another thing that I want to talk about is We're looking at the heavyweight landscape, and Deontay Wilder, his name basically has come up in the sense that people are talking about. I've seen videos. Deontay Wilder still looking forward to fighting Fury. Oh, Fury can't get out of this fight because they have a contract, and it's like, do you guys, are you so delusional that you don't understand the contract has expired? Yes, they can do a new contract, but are they going to do it? I've heard nothing from the WBC. I've heard nothing from Arum, from Finkel, nobody. I've heard nothing. Not from Fury, not from Wilder about no. The fight is actually we're going to no. They don't just take the oh okay we'll give you an extension on this contract. No, you have to reapply. You have to do it again. You have to do another contract. Okay. I don't believe at all that Deontay Wilder. Okay, that look y'all. Let's not be stupid. Deontay Wilder just said out of his own mouth he hasn't been training. Okay, and people are still posting videos up. Oh, it's fake news. Deontay's in the best shape of his life, showing pictures. Now, mind you, this is YouTube. Why the hell are we showing pictures? Where's the video of him training? He just said last week he hasn't been training. So there's no way in hell that right now it's late October. Okay, there's no way in hell he's gonna be ready by December. Stop it. Okay, so when they're giving you this fake news, people, use your common sense. You don't have to be there to see what's going on, to have common sense to know. These guys train for at least 4 months at a time, okay, to get prepared for a fight. Deontay said he hasn't even been training, okay, and we're talking about a surgery. His arm has to be 100% healed. All right, so no, there'll be no Deontay Wilder versus Fury in December, and if at all, they have to do another contract. And the fact of the matter is, Fury's already, saying he wants to fight by December. The name that came up that we heard first was Lucas Brown. There's a couple of other names that came up. I forget this guy named American fighter. He said he wants to fight him. He's like, I'll fight him for free, which we, whatever. But yeah, there's no need for Fury to not fight. Who wants to do all this work, get in shape, and then, all of a sudden now I just can't fight because this guy's not ready. So the fight's off. So I'm not going to know. Fury should be able to go out and fight whoever he want to fight. Michael Hunter, that's the guy. Michael Hunter. He said that he'll fight Fury. And when you look at something like this on short notice, if you're already in shape, like I said, it's just the adjustment to your opponent. But at the same time, this is a situation where a situation that's already not where we would like it to be. Let's not make situations worse. We're trying to improve boxing, but you always have people that want to keep falsehood going. Falsehood doesn't make anything legit. It doesn't make anything. It might make people feel better. Like you have people that don't mind getting over on people in life. Like example, just imagine. A lot of these people remind me of. You could have somebody who has a pocket full of money, and they could be standing right next to a homeless person, right? And let's just say, for example, they see $1,000 laying on the ground. They'll go and wrestle and fight that homeless person for that $1,000. Like, bro, you got money already. This person has nothing. Give them a chance. You understand what I'm saying? You have people that's just greedy, that just have no shame, that just everything is about what they want their way, and they don't care if it's not an even playing field. And like right now, when we look at what's going on in boxing, we've had some great things happen. Now, let's not be naive and think that everything's going to just be all good and all positive. You're going to always have good and bad. Let's not think we're going to get to a point where everything is just 100%. Oh, this fight happened, this went well, this happened, this went well. Everything is just rolling. No. And it was never, ever like that. It was easier to make fights back in the day. And that's back in the day. We can't live in the past. Okay, we just can't do it. It doesn't work. Okay, the only thing that'll do is make you more bitter towards boxing, and you probably will stop watching eventually because you're going to keep saying back in the day, back in the day, back in the day. But at the end of the day, just these situations that I'm touching up on. we just, like I said, we want to improve boxing. And as far as Deontay Wilder is concerned, now if Deontay, because I'm hearing about it, he may retire and all of this stuff. Look, whatever Deontay decides to do, he needs to be 100% focused. He needs to be 100% healthy. Okay, he just turned 35 years old, and at the end of the day, it doesn't last forever. So if Deontay decides that he's going to fight, whether it's heavyweight, whether it's super cruiserweight, whatever it may be, um, eyes are going to be on him. And with everything that was said about him and Fury, people are going to definitely, let's see what he's looking like. Supporters, anytime a fighter, their supporters are always going to be rooting for them, of course. But at the same time, it's like um, people are going to watch to see what you look like, how you look. You said you had weak legs, and people that want to believe the poison water and then all the dirty, the loaded glove, unpadded glove, and all of that. People are the eyes are going to be on you. So if he looks good, let's say you know how it happens when you're not in the ring for a long time. Most fighters don't come back and jump back in there with top elite level fighters. They'll come back in there with a meatball, a complete meatball, or they might fight somebody who has a little bit of recognition but not seen as much of a threat. Okay, and they'll try to stylistically match you up with someone who they feel like your style is all wrong for them. Okay, who that will be against, we don't know. We want to see Deontay back in the mix fighting against the top guys. Nobody wants to see an elite level fighter, slide away and then come back and start fighting meatballs. Nobody wants to see that. I know personally myself. I like don't get me wrong when I say Fury should be able to choose to fight whoever he wants. Yeah, based on the simple fact that he had to fight, that he was supposed to go into this fight with Deontay, and then they pushed the fight back again. So, and let the contract expire. That doesn't mean I want to see him. I have no interest in watching Fury fight Lucas Brown. Okay, at least we do know who Michael Hunter is, and we know that Michael Hunter is a decent fighter. But at the same time, it's like, you know, if anything, Fury will get in there, and whoever he fights, I don't see him fighting any elite level guy. Not on short notice, no. So whoever, bottom line is like he's going to fight whoever he's going to fight. Whoever, if Deontay comes back, when and if he comes back, whoever Deontay decides he's going to fight, I don't see that being an elite level guy. Okay, especially when you've been out the ring for so long, and then you had injuries. So you already know he's going to come back. Whoever he's going to fight is going to be. Well, we had to test the arm. Let's just see how we look. Let's see how we feel. Now we get past this. Now let's fry some bigger fish. I mean, expect something along those lines to happen. Don't expect Deontay to come in there and fight against a Daniel Dubois or a Joe Joyce or a Usyk, or that's not going to be his comeback fight. Stop. If he and Fury can finally get it on the third time, which and me personally, I'm not even interested in the third fight between those two. But like I said, if Deontay wants to avenge that loss, I can understand that. But personally, no, I'm really drained in terms of that fight. The thought of that fight is like, I mean, I'm not even excited about a third fight between those two, to be honest with you. But I don't even feel like him and Fury would be. I don't even feel like Fury would be his first fight back. I believe Deontay is going to fight somebody else first before he fights Fury. If he fights Fury, if that fight happens, I believe he's going to take a tune-up first. I don't believe he gets surgery and then jump back in with Fury right away. I just don't see that happening. And let's say even if it does happen, well, whoever loses, we don't want excuses. As of now, we haven't heard any injuries, lingering injuries. Fury said he's feeling good. So if Wilder was to beat him, I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, well, in sparring the other day, in the sparring, he hurt my arm, and then I don't want to hear none of that. If he beats Deontay again, I don't want to hear nothing about my arm. Well, I thought it was healed, but in the third round, I felt something, but I don't want to hear nothing. We don't, look, and things happen, don't get me wrong. Like I said, but this is what I'm saying, and I don't think it would be wise for Wilder. Okay, if I was Wilder's trainer, if I was in his corner, I would tell him, Wilder, like, look, Deontay, Fuck the pride bullshit. You just had a major surgery. We don't know exactly how your shit's gonna hold up, right? Let's you train, rehabilitate that arm, and we'll bring you back against someone where you can get the rounds in. Now, of course, unless you knock the guy out, but let's see how it holds up. Because first fight back, jumping in there with a guy that big, that's going to wrestle you, push you, and muscle you around, and that's a lot of weight for you to be trying to pound. You know, you got to use your head, man. So even him coming back against a lesser fighter, it's not a dig at him. It's not like, oh no, what I'm saying is, oh, he's scared, and I think he wants to fight a lesser opponent. No, I don't know what's in his heart, but what I'm saying is, I feel like that's what he should do. He should come back. He should come back against someone, unless he feels 100%. No, and let me rephrase that, because I don't like to say what somebody should do. I think it would be wise, because what I'm saying is, when he does come back, okay, we don't want to hear excuses about, oh, the arm. You understand what I mean? So at least if he comes back and he does knock out a meatball, you know what's going to, and that's what people usually do, okay? And when they do, the first thing the commentators are going to yell is, he is back. He hasn't lost a step. He's better than ever. And you know what? There's interest right all over again, going to a third fight, or going to a fight with an AJ, you know, or Dylan White, should he win his fight, or, you know, you gotta think, this is what people do. We don't want excuses. I wouldn't want to fight somebody that's not 100%. So if you go into a fight with me and you running your mouth talking shit about you're gonna knock me out, you're gonna do this and that, then all of a sudden I beat the brakes off of you, or nah, it was because I was just too good and I beat the shit out you. Let's leave it at that. Simple. I don't care about what the media says. I don't care what your fans say. And you know what? If it comes to a rematch, I'll do it again. I don't care about what statistics show that usually in rematches the other. I will be the X factor. This is how you have to think, and how you have to condition your mind as well as your body to understand, I'm willing to go through the fire to win this fight. Okay, so I'm going to be sharp on every level. Don't come into a fight talking about, oh, my arm. If you're injured, call the fight off. If people say you're scared, they say you're afraid, or whatever it might be. We saw Tony Harrison versus Jermell Charlo, where the fight had to be pushed back. Now, of course, as a fighter, Jermell Charlo is saying that Tony Harrison was scared, he faked like he was injured or whatever. We don't know that, but guess what? Let's say if it was. What matters is what you do come fight night. He fell short in the rematch, but guess what? It's smart and wise that if you had an injury, you postpone the fight. Especially when, I mean, come on, look, guys, you're fighting for world titles. You're fighting for legacy, all these things, but yet you're going to push yourself to go in there and fight, and you're not 100% when all you have to do is let's postpone this fight. So for Deontay Wilder, we don't know he hasn't said anything. So, you know, I don't care. Listen, I don't care about his fans talking about what he's going to do. I don't care about Shelly Finkel anymore. I don't care about Tay Jones or whoever anymore about what these guys have to say. If he needs to speak for himself. And until we know that a contract was actually signed, I'll believe that when I hear it. And I'm not sitting here waiting for it. When it comes up, it comes up. But at the same time, you know, we have too much going on right now, too much to look forward to in boxing, to have, you know, the feeling taken away by these little negative happenings, things that's just so not necessary, but at the same time, they continue to happen. So we don't know who Deontay, like what he's going to do, who he's going to fight. And let's say he comes back and he fights Fury first, so be it. But again, we don't want to hear nothing about the bicep. So if you wear your pride on your sleeve and decide you want to jump into the fire before before you prepare it, that's on you. You got to live with it. So anyway, look, never fall in love with lies. And remember, the truth brings hate out of people. And that's all I'm going to say on this video. And I will catch y'all on the next one.